When King Nebuchadnezzar died, his son Belshazzar became king of Babylon. One day, King Belshazzar gave a great banquet for 1,000 of his nobles in his kingdom. While the people at the banquet were enjoying the food and drinking the best wines, the king ordered that all the sacred gold and silver goblets be brought to the banquet so that the nobles and their wives could drink their wine from them. These weren't just any gold and silver drinking goblets. King Belshazzar's father, King Nebuchadnezzar, had taken these sacred goblets from the temple of God in Jerusalem many years ago, when he took the people of Judah captive and brought them to Babylon as his prisoners. The gold and silver goblets were only to be used by the priests in the temple during their ceremonies to honor God. They were never to be used by anyone else. While the important guests were drinking from the goblets, they began praising the gods of gold and silver, of bronze, iron, wood, and stone. Suddenly, the fingers of a human hand appeared and wrote on the plaster wall of the royal palace. When King Belshazzar saw the handwriting on the wall, his face turned pale, and he was so frightened that his knees knocked together and his legs gave way. He called for all the wise men of the Babylonian kingdom to come before him and said, "Whoever reads this writing and tells me what it means will be given a purple robe and a gold chain around his neck. He will also be made the third highest ruler in my kingdom." But not one of the wise men could read the writing or tell the king what it meant. So King Belshazzar became even more terrified, and his face grew paler. When the queen heard the voices of the king and his nobles, she went into the banquet hall and said, "O king, don't be alarmed and look so pale. Your father, King Nebuchadnezzar, had in his kingdom a holy man named Daniel, who was known to have great insight, intelligence, and wisdom. Your father so trusted in the words of Daniel that he appointed him chief over all the wise men in the kingdom. Daniel had such knowledge and understanding that he was able to interpret your father's dreams and visions and solve difficult problems in the kingdom. Call for Daniel, and he will be able to tell you what the writing means." So Daniel was brought to King Belshazzar, and the king said, "Are you the Daniel who is one of the exiles that my father brought from Judah? I have heard that you have great insight, intelligence, and wisdom. The wise men of my kingdom were not able to read or explain this writing on the wall. I have heard that you were able to give interpretations and solve difficult problems for my father, King Nebuchadnezzar. If you can read this writing and tell me what it means, I will give you a purple robe and a gold chain will be placed around your neck. In addition, you will also be made the third highest ruler in the kingdom." Then Daniel answered the king, "You may keep your gifts for yourself and give your rewards to someone else. Nevertheless, I will read the writing for the king and tell him what it means. O king, the Most High God gave your father Nebuchadnezzar a kingdom with majesty, glory, and honor. Because of this, all peoples, nations, and men of every language feared and honored his great kingdom. But when he became filled with pride and believed that all he had was because of his great power, the Most High God took it all away and stripped him of his glory. He was driven away from his kingdom, and his mind became like that of an animal. He lived in the field with the animals and ate grass like the cattle. Every day his body was drenched with the dew of heaven until he acknowledged and confessed that the Most High God is over all the kingdoms of men and gives them to anyone he wishes. But you, his son, O Belshazzar, have not humbled yourself, even though you knew all this. Instead, you have lifted yourself up above the Lord of heaven. You have brought the sacred gold and silver goblets from the temple of God, and you and your nobles and their wives have been drinking wine from them. You have worshipped the worthless gods of silver, gold, bronze, iron, wood, and stone, which cannot see or hear or understand. You did not honor the God who holds your life and everything in it in his hands, so God sent the hand that wrote this on the wall, Mene Mene Tekel Parsin. This is what these words mean. Mene, God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed on the scales and found lacking. Parson, your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and Persians. When Daniel finished interpreting the handwriting, King Belshazzar did as he said, and gave Daniel a purple robe, a gold chain, and then proclaimed him as the third highest ruler in the kingdom. That very same night, King Belshazzar was killed. And just as Daniel interpreted the handwriting on the wall, a Mede by the name of Darius took over the kingdom of Babylon.